right, hello. So today, our task for today is to learn about the vertex of parabola. So I have two graphs in here just to have an overview of what a vertex is or what are the other parts of a parabola. So a parabola is a shape of a graph that looks like what you have in here. It's a U-shaped graph. So normally a parabola is the graph when you have a quadratic equation or quadratic function. Okay, so that's the graph of a quadratic function. You either have a u that opens downwards or a u that opens upwards. The vertex is if you have a u that opens downwards, is the highest point. So in this case you have that point right here. You have, since this is a point, it has an x and y coordinate, and so in this case it's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a -4, comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 point something, and I don't know what that five is, but you see the idea there. So when you have a vertex, you need to locate the location of that by finding the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Now, if your parabola opens up just like the second figure, then of course your vertex will be the lowest point. So it's either the highest point depending on how your parabola opens. So in this case, your vertex is right there, which is at point 3, comma, -4. So our task for today is to learn about how to find these vertices if you're given the actual function, not the graph, but the function. Okay, so let's get to that. Okay, so let me just open the file. Okay, so we have it here. Okay, so the first thing, because we're trying to find the equation of the parabola using an equation, we need to be able to recognize what kind of form you're given with. So for today's video, we're basically concentrating on the standard form that looks like this: y equals ax squared bx plus c, where a, b, and c are numbers. They're constants, okay? Now, the second format is if they were given in a vertex form. So you need to be able to recognize this type of forms, okay? So in the vertex form, h comma k, this is your vertex, okay? And then all right, so A is a number. It tells you if it's a stretch, how stretch or compressed it is vertically. Okay, but we really just worry for this video for the vertex. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna give you some equations first for the just as an exercise, and I want you to be able to see if you can recognize if it's a standard form or a vertex form. Okay, so the first one is y equals 3x squared plus 2x minus 6. Okay, so as you can see in this one right here, this is a standard form where a is equal to 3, your b is equal to 2, and your c is equal to -6. This is a standard form. Okay, now the second example will be this: y equals x plus 3 squared. Okay, so that's the only one that I'm gonna give you. Well, it doesn't really look like the standard form because you have this parenthesis squared. So this gotta be a vertex form with that square right there with the parentheses, right? So how do we recognize what's the a here? Where the a is the number that's multiplied to your parentheses. So therefore your a is equal to 1. Okay, your h is the one that's getting subtracted from x. So this is x plus 3. So therefore your h must be a -3. And what is our k? Well, k is being added to your parenthesis squared, and there's really nothing added. So technically that's like plus 0. That's like nothing added. So your k is equal to 0. So therefore from this equation, you can see your vertex is already 3 or -3 comma 0. Okay. Now let's do another example. Okay, how about if you have y equals x squared minus 2? Okay, well, that doesn't look like that. What does it look like? well, this one could either be a standard form or a vertex form, okay? So if you take this one as a standard form, then your A is equal to 1 because A is the one that's getting multiplied to your x squared. So that's the 1 right there. And then your B, well, do you have a bx, meaning an x and a coefficient? Nothing really. So therefore, your B must be equal to 0. And then lastly, your C is equal to negative 2. This is if you see it as a vertex form. Alternatively, you can also see that as a vertex form because technically you can rewrite that as y equals x minus 0 squared minus 2. See that x squared right there? That could be x minus 0. In this case, your a is equal to 1, that number right there. Your h is equal to 0, and your k is negative 2. Okay, so in this case, your vertex is 0, comma, negative 2. So as you can see, if you have it in vertex form, then you can really just see what's the vertex. It's only when you're given a standard form that you actually need to solve for the vertex. And I have not really given you the formula yet. Okay, I didn't mean to remove that of a vertex, the vertex formula start given the standard form. Okay, so I feel like we should probably start with the vertex form because that's the one that's easiest, right? So assuming you can recognize that it is a vertex form. In fact, I'm gonna give you an example right now. Okay, all right. So this example, um, f of x. So f of x is just like your y, equals x plus 1 squared minus 3. Now, what form is this? Okay, so this is in the vertex form because you have that parenthesis squared minus something. So therefore, your a here is equal to 1, that number right there that you don't see, that's technically 1. And then your h, so that's a minus h. So you see a plus 1. So therefore, your h must be a negative 1. It's opposite what you see inside because of that minus sign. And then your k will be negative 3. Okay, so it's plus k, so that's negative 3. Okay, so therefore your vertex for this problem is just going to be negative 1 comma negative 3. That's it. So that's pretty much it if you're given a vertex form of equation. Okay, let's try a different example. Still, okay, all right, let's try f of x equals 3x minus 4 squared plus 2. Okay, so in this case, this is again vertex form. Your a is equal to 3. Your h is opposite what you see. So that's a negative 4. That's going to be a 4. And your k is, it is what it is. It is what you see. That's a plus k. So therefore, this must be a plus 2. Therefore, your vertex is 4 comma 2. Okay, so I hope you're able to recognize a vertex form of equation of a parabola. So let's move on to what if you're not given a vertex form, you're given a standard form. So if you're given a standard form, this is your formula for h. So h is negative b over 2a. So you need to find your h. Remember here, your h is whatever is being subtracted to your x. Here now you have to have a formula for h, and that's negative b over 2a. And your k is just you just do the substitute on your basically this is f of h. So meaning you substitute your h into your equation. All right, let's try an example. Okay, let's say f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. In this case, your A is equal to 2, your B is negative 4, and your C is equal to 1. So therefore, if we want to solve for H, let's solve for H. H is equal to negative B over 2A. So that's going to be negative B. So that's negative of negative 4. So that's going to be a positive 4 over 2 times your A, which is 2. So that's going to be a 1. That's your H. So you already have the half, okay, the half part of your vertex. So that's going to be 1 comma something. We don't know that something yet. So in order for you to find k, So k is equal to, substitute it into this equation, substitute this into your x. So that's going to be 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 1. And that's going to be 2 minus 4, that's negative 2, plus 1, that's going to be a negative 1. So therefore, your k is negative 1. So these are your coordinates, the coordinates of your vertex for this quadratic function here. Okay, so let's try another example. Let's try another example of this. Oops, I didn't mean to erase that again, but I want to erase everything else. I want to see I want to keep the formula. Okay, so this is going to be 2a. All right, so what about if your equation is something like this? F of x equals x squared minus 4, okay? Well, what is our a? Your a is equal to 1, your b is 0, your c is negative 4. So therefore, if you want to find your vertex, you're going to have an h comma k. Let's find your h. That's negative b over 2a. So that's going to be negative of 0 is just 0 still, right? 2 over 1, which is going to be equal to 0. That's your h. So that's going to be 0 here. And then your k is f of h. So meaning you substitute this 0 into that equation. So that's going to be a 0 squared minus 4, which is going to be equal to negative 4. So therefore, that's your k. So therefore, your vertex is 0 comma negative 4. So I hope this helps. If you have any question, please let me know. Write a message or send me any problem that you have. See you then.